Hey, this is World Series champion Johnny Damon.
This is World Series champion Cliff Floyd.
This is Kevin Newman of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
The lighting in here is pretty good, though. Because I have all these lights on me right now, so it's nice.
Hey, this is World Series champion Johnny Damon.
This is World Series champion Cliff Floyd.
This is Kevin Newman of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
This is a World Series champion, Ozzie Guillen.
This is Carlos Pena, 14-year MLB veteran.
This is two-time NL MVP Dale Murphy of the Atlanta Braves.
This is John Clowney, pitcher with the Arizona Diamondbacks.
This is World Series champion Joe Musgrove.
This is Jordan Luplow of the Cleveland Indians.
This is Lance Coach Jim of the Houston Astros.
What's up, it's A. Jones of the Buffalo Bills.
It's Tyler Lockett of the Seattle Seahawks.
This is Hunter Henry of the LA Chargers.
This is Jose Canseco.
And when I'm not on the field catching bombs from Russell Wilson.
When I'm not on the field catching bombs.
When I'm not on the field catching bombs.
When I'm not on the field hitting bombs.
I'm watching my guys over at
FIlthbomb.
FIlthbomb. FIlthbomb.
FIlthbomb.
FIlthbomb.
FIlthbomb.
FIlthbomb.
FIlthbomb breaks
off those nasty.
Nasty
FIlthbomb. I know a thing or two about hitting some bombs, fellas.
But there's nothing quite like hitting a FIlthbomb
with my guys over at FIlthbomb Breaks.
FIlthbomb! FIlthbomb! Mike Trout 101 auto!
MVP breakers, MVP prices.
Keep those FIlthbombs coming. I'll keep those World Series coming.
Thanks for making baseball cards fun again.
Thanks for making baseball cards fun again, guys. Go Bucks.
Thanks for making collecting cards fun again for the kids and for all of us old-timers as well.
A way to make baseball cards fun again, guys. Keep pulling those nasty filth bombs.
And pull me a Jose Canseco Superfractor.
And hit me a West Coast Superfractor. Go Astros.
Please pull me a DuPont Superfractor.
How about you go pull me a Jordan Luplow Superfractor?
Yeah. I have some good ones on the side right here, actually, so it's not bad.
And now, introducing from New York, opening packs at the speed of sound, pulling filth out of cases nightly, the undefeated, undisputed champion of the sports card breaking industry, FIlthbomb Breaks. It's time for FIlthbomb.
What's going on, guys? Yeah, resale value is tremendous. That really is like the deciding factor of what separates the collectors from the investors, I feel like.
Oh, my mic wasn't on the whole time. There we go. That's awesome.
I can still hear you on here, but I don't know about everybody else.
Yep. All right. So, what's up, everyone? We're here for the January 9th, 2020 podcast, PSA versus Beckett. Thank you for tuning in, even though I wasn't even tuned in. The time's 7:21 p.m. Eastern. And right now we're going to talk about PSA versus Beckett. Everyone's always talking about it. Everyone has their own opinions. It's one of the most frequently asked questions on the page. So we decided to break down some pros and cons for both. I personally think both are great options, but let's talk about the pros of PSA first. Let's talk about cost. I think cost is a huge pro for PSA. If you do the bulk submissions, it is cheaper. It is $10 a card, $10.50 a card for PSA. Beckett, I believe, is $18 per card, if I'm not mistaken, and there's no guaranteed turnaround time on Beckett's bulk. So your cost is a lot better. Plus, pro number 2, resale value is a lot better as well with PSA. Would you agree with that, Derek?
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
Yeah, resale value, you seem to bring 1.25 to 1.35% more, or times rather, more on a PSA 10 than a Beckett 9.5. So that would be my biggest thing, is the resale value. If you're in it for just the resale, you're in it for the quick flip, PSA 10 is going to always bring more than a Beckett 9.5. We'll get to the Beckett 10s and gold labels in a few, but for now, that is a huge plus.
Yeah, for sure. I think especially for smaller cards, the PSA 10 is make or break for them, because if you have a $20 card at PSA 10, what does it go for? A 9.5? You know what I'm saying? And that's when it becomes, it's not worth the grading fee or anything like that. So
I mean, that's yeah.
Separate them.
You have to break it down, right? Say you have a $100 card for simple math purposes. If it's $125 in a PSA 10 holder, and it costs you $10 to get it graded, now you're looking at $115. If the same card in a 9.5 holder is $100 in a Beckett, and it costs you $18, there's such a big differential there.
Yeah,
it makes so much more sense to go the PSA route when doing grading from that angle. However, we'll get into Beckett in a few. There are reasons why you would want to choose Beckett over PSA. Another thing that Derek brought up is the pop report and the app and the scanning of the barcodes for PSA.
Yes, a lot of people still don't know about that. I introduced Steven to that, I think just a few months ago, maybe, right?
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. If you don't have the app, download the PSA app. It is awesome.
Super simple. Download the PSA app. I could probably do it right now. I have a PSA card in front of me.
Watch this. So check this out.
So we got the Jacob deGrom. Sorry for the lighting. Don't mind the lighting, right? So you got the Jacob deGrom. I'll go right on my phone. Go over to the PSA app. Right? So then it has the verify and scan. We're going to go to scan PSA barcode.
And watch how simple that is.
Let's hope it goes quick. All right, cool. So now you'll see it's downloading. And it'll show you on that heritage right there that Jacob deGrom is a pop 536. I couldn't see if it was a 6 or an 8, but it's just as simple as that. I don't think Beckett has that. I'm like 99% sure.
And it makes your investing so much easier, because now you're looking at that card. You're saying, all right, it's a pop 520, whatever it is. What is a similar card to that deGrom? What is that pop? Right? So now you're thinking, all right, if you look and there's another similar card, similar player, but the pop is 200, now you're like, wow, that might be a smart buy low opportunity. Or vice versa. If you're like, oh, that's a good card, but there's 1,200 of them. Now you're like, maybe it's a little saturated. Maybe I don't want to get into that specific card.
Yeah, that's why. And, you know, I check that pop report all the time. I know that a lot of heavy investors that drop a lot of money always look at the pop report. I see it on a lot of different platforms with guys that buy bulk lots of thousands and thousands of dollars worth of cards. They're always checking the pop report just to see how they are, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of guys that are just stacking stuff away. But if you have a card that's 1 in 10,000, you know, it's going to be pretty hard when, even if he does pop off, to get anything close to double your value on it, you know?
Now, the next thing we're going to talk about, it's a pro for PSA, but then the opposite is a pro for Beckett. So the pro to this, another pro for PSA is no subgrades.
Yes.
That's a huge pro, just because if you get a card that sneaks in there as a PSA 10, however, would come back as a min gem for Beckett, which a min gem is if all 4 subgrades are not 9.5 or higher, you're actually making off like a bandit in that situation.
Hell yeah.
You know?
They're not as lenient anymore, but I know that there's definitely some PSA 10 cards that I have that I know should not be PSA
I mean,
10,
everything's subjective, right?
Yeah, it's seldom that it does happen. But when you see it, you're like, oof, I got away with that. Because if it was a 9, you're talking a huge difference. You look at cards like the Derek Jeter SP where the PSA 10 goes for $100,000 and the 9 goes for 5, you know?
No, it's insane. And it's such a fine line between that PSA 9 and 10 that literally you catch the right grader on the right day, boom, you just made yourself so much more money. Whereas, and people, that's the thing right now, people don't look at the card, they look at the holder, unfortunately, which isn't the smartest thing to do. But if that card's in a PSA 10 holder, it's a PSA 10 to 99.9% of the hobby. You know, the savvy collector will be like, no, thank you. I see a little white on that corner.
Yeah.
But,
there's definitely some, but it happens, you know?
And then I'd say the last pro that we discussed is going to be the ease of use for the PSA website and database. It's so simple to navigate. If you don't have the app and you want to just go online and check it out, you could still do it very simple. Like me personally, I'm not the most tech-savvy person in the world, but you throw me on that Beckett website and I'm lost.
Yeah, I've tried so many times. And the thing was, too, is I know that they have the RCR, which is the raw card review grades. I think I actually have one over here. Let me see. I pulled it out of the bag right here, and I cracked it. But they have these up here, and these are super confusing because they do come with a serial number. And I probably spent, I think, a half an hour to 45 minutes one day trying to look that serial number up, but I heard that it doesn't even matter for those. So I was super taken back by that. They don't put those RCRs into the database, I don't think, from what I looked up. So then you really don't know, you know, how many are out there or how many have been ripped out of the case or what's going on with it.
All right. So now we're going to go to the cons of PSA. The cons of PSA, number one is turnaround time.
Yeah, it's super shady.
For the non-bulk, right? So if you go with Beckett and you go with their 10-day turnaround, it's really close to that 10 days.
Yeah,
really close. I deal with somebody that deals only with Beckett, and when I ship out, boom, my stuff is done right in that time frame. Like 99% of the time. They have that guaranteed time, and that is the time you're going to do. PSA, not so much.
Yeah. It's happened to me where you'll have a PSA sub go out, and then the 65-day will go on and pop before the 45-day or something. So I don't know.
It happens a lot.
Maybe there would be a strategy for it. I really don't understand how it works or the operations inside of that, but it is frustrating sometimes.
For sure. Another con, no 9.5s. So you are left, due to the fact that there's no subgrades, you're left with a 9 or a 10 and you don't know why.
Yeah.
So that is a pretty big con in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you could have a card that has a small little blemish and you think, oh, maybe, you know, but maybe the grader is super strict and then gives you a 9 and it won't ruin the value a lot, but it'll definitely
in certain instances it'll crush the value. But
yeah,
I mean, that's one of the biggest drawbacks. Not so much, I don't really necessarily, so that's why the subgrades is a pro and a con. Because if you have a 10 and there's no subgrades, it's great. If you have a 9 and there's no subgrades, you're like scratching your head. You don't understand exactly what happened. Another con is The cases are less sturdy.
Yeah.
And there are no sleeves inside the case like Beckett does. So a lot of the times you'll get these cards and they'll be jiggling inside the case.
Yeah, I don't like that. I have a few like that, especially in the older cases, where after a while, you want to recase something or you want to crack something open, but it's been in that case for so long, wiggling around, that it's probably ruined one of the corners, and now you have absolutely no shot of getting a 10 again. So if you crack your case or you just don't like the old style look, you're kind of just stuck with it.
Yeah, no, that's brutal. That's one of the probably the biggest downsides to it. And then the final con, which we discussed earlier, is there's nothing above a 10. So you could have a pristine example, a perfect card, but it's no different than the other PSA 10 that isn't exactly perfect.
That always eats away at me about how many actual pristine cards are out there, because you got to look at something like, imagine a PSA 10 Jeter, but then imagine like a black label Jeter. There's no comparison. I think like the black label will probably be worth like $1 million.
No,
There's
it's crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
It's absolutely insane. If PSA did do that, though, I mean, that's one thing that Beckett was able to get their hands in that separates them.
Yeah.
But again, that's like a unicorn. Those things are very few and far between. Let's move on over to Beckett right now. We're going to talk about some pros for Beckett. The first pro is they do have 9.5s. So you may not get a true gem, which again is 9.5 or higher on all subgrades, but you'll get that 9.5, which will have more value than a PSA 9.
Right.
So that's very important. But then again, that comes down to what are you submitting? What are you looking for in return? So if your eye is good, you can kind of get around that, because you'll be able to, for the most part, tell what a 9 is compared to a 10, and you'll know what'll get a 9.5. It's tough, but if you do it enough and you're seasoned, you're able to figure that out. But that is good. That is good, because a 9.5 is a lot better than a PSA 9.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. That makes all the difference too, especially in investors' eyes, because I talked about it before, but grading really differentiates the investors from the collectors for the most part, and a lot of people, when they go out and collect, some people are very finicky. They only collect PSAs. They only collect 10s. I've seen people collect only PSA 8s. So a lot of people, they want at least a 9.5 in their collection, and that's a huge determining factor for them.
And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the comments on either page. We're broadcasting right now to 6 different platforms. If you're watching on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Periscope, be sure to head on over to our Facebook group right now, Case Breaks by FIlthbomb Breaks, or FIlthbomb Advice Buy Sell Trade Group. We're taking questions over there. All right, another pro that we are going with for Beckett is subgrades. Subgrades is huge for Beckett, like we spoke about earlier.
Yeah.
So that is, it's so crazy. Like, to me, it doesn't bother me as much now, a little more than it used to, just because I see how much it matters to other people. So I'm more conscious of buying a min gem. But I think it is cool to see, although I think it's impossible to tell me what the difference between a 9.5 and a 10 centering is. I think that's a little bogus.
Yeah, I don't like that.
But I do think it's cool to see the strengths of the card, per se. Right. So you could say, all right, this is got a 9 on centering, so the centering's a little weak, but the corners are a 10. So that's pretty cool. But the whole 9.5, 10 thing, that's a little...
It gets a little weird because it goes, I don't know. I don't really, know how much to speak on that, but it's just, how, do these guys take out, rulers and you know what I'm saying? I always wondered that.
It's just
you
very...
can tell off the bat, if something's pretty centered, but if it's off by, a very small amount, then that's automatic 9.5, or does it have to be exactly 50-50 lined up?
I'm not saying anybody does do anything shady. I'm just saying that a half grade on something can make a huge difference, and it's very easy to throw a half grade onto something. Like, the edges are a 9.5. Like, what's the difference between a 9 and a 9.5? I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. I think it's how somebody's feeling in that moment in time.
Right.
And they want to be nice or they want to be evil. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
The life of a grader. Another pro is going to be the sturdy cases and the sleeves inside the case for Beckett.
I love that they do that.
You could literally drop those holders off the Empire State Building.
Yeah.
And I mean, it might break, but that thing, I've dropped some Beckett cards. Like, look at these holders. Like, look how thick they are. Like, they'll chip. I've chipped these before. But look at the card's safe, and then look at the sleeve. Can you tell the sleeve that's in it? So the card is protected either way. Say it were to crack out, and it's not going to get scratched by the holder because it has a nice protective sleeve over it.
Yeah.
So that's a huge plus.
And if you want to crack it and you want to protect the thing, I've seen people take them out with tweezers and they put them in a one-touch just because they don't like the subgrades on it or whatever it is, and they want to put it in one touch. It's easier to do that with a PSA card. I've cracked PSA cards.
How do you crack
and
this?
It's just,
how do you crack this thing?
Dude, you don't crack it. You got to get a hammer.
This is a weapon.
You got to get some. I've seen people do them with electrical wire cutters.
You need a chainsaw. I mean, that thing is an inch thick. That's maybe why they're a little more expensive. They do have a higher quality. But yeah. All right, on to the next one. RCR is a huge pro. RCR is nice. If you just want a quick, grade, you could save some money. Obviously, they'll upcharge you to the full grading if you choose to get it graded. But I think that's just a huge plus to be able to get an idea of what your card would grade. There's no subgrades in an RCR. But, I mean, that's a service I wish PSA would offer.
Yeah, I love that. I love the RCRs because it's just, do I want to get it graded? Or if it gets a BGS 10, or I've seen RCRs that get black labels, and then it's like, okay, I'm definitely grading this with BGS because if it's going to receive a black label, it's worth that much more. But if it gets a 9.5, then you could say at least, okay, maybe it can PSA 10 or whatever, but it just gives you like a heads up, I feel like,
Yeah, I think it's a great service. I mean, the only thing that you have to remember is if you get an RCR, you're not guaranteed to get that grade if you do step away from Beckett. So if you find out, this is a 9.5, you walk away with your card, you cannot leave the presence of Beckett. Otherwise, they can't guarantee that grade anymore. There's no guarantee you took that RCR and dropped it by accident. The corner got all dung up. So that's the one thing you have to be aware of with the RCR. But it is cost effective. They won't sell for as much. If you do have an RCR 9.5, it won't sell obviously for as much as a PSA 10 or a Beckett Min Gem even in a Beckett holder. I don't know why I chose this, by the way, an 8.5. The ugliest, the silver that everyone hates. And the other pro, the final pro, which we talked about earlier, was turnaround time. Guaranteed turnaround times are pretty much guaranteed. That's a huge plus. If you're looking to get something that's hot, back in your hands, for example, Zion Williamson, something like that, you land a silver, shoot, let's 3-day this. Let's 10-day it. And sure enough, you'll get that back in that time frame. PSA, it's tough. You don't even know when they're going to open the package. That's one of my biggest complaints is you could send something, overnight it. There's no guarantee when they're going to put that thing into the system. No guarantee. So you could pay for 2-day grading, and whenever they get it, that's when it starts.
They used to be fairly good with the 15-day turnaround when you used to subscribe with them now. And I recently did it, and it took a little over a month to get them back after they did receive them. So, and I've told people, I say, if you have bigger, higher end cards, do the subscription. It's easy. It'll give you a faster turnaround time. But now that's not really guaranteed, just go for a group sub. Might as well.
Group subs are great. I put my own stuff in the group sub. Believe it or not, So I submit 65-day, 45-day, 30-day for the most part. My 65 days are out doing my 30 days right now. It's insane.
It's just weird, though. It doesn't make any sense.
It's insane. There's nothing wrong with the group sub. Nothing wrong with that. My stuff is in the 65-day with your stuff. So, I mean, I have to.
Yeah.
Real quick to the cons. We spoke about it earlier. We said cost isn't as good as PSA. So if you're looking to save some money, along with the resale value, you're going to want to go with PSA for that one. If the price isn't a concern, you're more of a collector, I'd go with Beckett on that. One thing I will say is Gem Plus cards, which is 9.5 or higher on each subgrade, are super duper duper values. For example, look at the 2011 update Mike Trout. Right now, PSA 10s are 1,100. You can probably get a Gem Plus Beckett for $950.
Yeah.
Like what? Like at that point, I have some Gem Pluses in my collection. It's just a good value, especially with the subgrades. You see them, you're confident it would probably translate to a PSA 10 should you send it over. I mean, that's a great value. I think that's something that. I mean, I have some Otani just variations from Heritage Gem Plus. I think that's nothing wrong with that.
No, I like them.
The savvy collector.
I'm weird though. Like I like all my. So I don't like Gem Plus or Min Gem. I just like all straight 9.5s across the board. That's just me though.
It looks
and
like
I know
you have
that
a
there's a
touch
lot
of
of people
OCD.
that collect like that out there, but for me, it has to be like all 9.5s for some reason.
So real
for the
quick, we're
most
just
part.
gonna show you a difference between the holders. For those of you who have never gotten anything greater, never held a graded card in your hand, I'm sure most of you have. But this is the PSA, the new holder. See how thin it is compared to this. I don't know if you could tell, but it's a lot thinner. Beckett is probably like 1.5 times the size. It's not very sturdy. So, for example, if I decided I was about to do it to make a point, but then I was like, yeah, let's not. If I decided to snap this right now, I could snap it.
Yeah, for sure. Or you could just I've done it too, and
No, but like I
has
just
gotten
went
me
like
on
this,
some
and I heard it go.
expensive stuff.
I heard it make the noise like, "Oh, you ready?" And I was like, "Nah, not yet."
Yeah.
But this, oh no! Like you could, like now I'm really trying, and that thing's not even moving. That thing, like I was trying to make a point there. That one is solid. So that's your differences. So again, like one grading company we're not even talking about right now is SGC. I love SGC for vintage.
They're sneaking up too, though. Like with the new holders and stuff, it looks kind of clean.
I don't know if I love the new holders for the modern, like what they're doing with that personally. Right. I mean, everyone has their own opinion, but I think that black background just makes those cards pop. I think they'll have their day eventually. At one point, I was buying up SGCs because I thought, I still do think they'll make a play. I think there's a shot. It's not a high probability, but there's a shot that they become a force, especially because their customer service is phenomenal. Their pricings are great. And they're actually taking an active interest in trying to get better. That's a big thing for me. They're actually trying to rebrand. They're trying, Beckett and PSA are already so big, they don't need your business. Whereas SGC kind of does. And there's nothing worse than somebody with money with their back against the wall. That's the most dangerous type of person. So you have to keep an eye on SGC. I think they can make a run. Yeah, Beckett is more money, Alec. That's why we do PSA in our group. But thank you for the question. If anybody has any other questions, not even graded or PSA or Beckett related, if you just have other questions, hobby related, feel free to ask for the next 10 minutes. We'll take questions. And then Sayonara Brotanis, we're going to be going live for Triple Threads Inner Case number 8. And then right after that, we have a 10-box baseball mixer, which we'll be knocking out. So if anybody has any other questions, I know I haven't been that available today. I've been swarmed. Got a lot of PMs. No, Derek has as well. We haven't answered. If you're watching right now and want to ask those questions, be more than happy to help you live right now. So go ahead. And aside from that, who's ready for fantasy baseball? We were talking about that just before.
Oh, yeah, man. I can't wait for that.
I can't wait to have a podcast for that. Buy low, sell high. Yeah. Oh, my God. I'm dangerous with that. Mike Timchuk said, does SGC have a decent registry? I'm not 100% sure on that. I do know that it was easy to use their registry when I was looking up my Jackie Robinsons. But I don't know if they have too many cards in their registry. I really don't. I couldn't answer that with confidence.
I see a decent amount of graded SGC cards out there. I just have personally, I've owned them for a very short period of time, and then I usually get rid of them.
I just don't know what I'm curious, like on, say, a 57 Clemente. How many PSA 2s are out there compared to SGC 30s?
Yeah, who knows?
I'd have to check the pop.
Do they still grade like that, though? They don't do that anymore, though. They don't.
Did they get rid of the number thing?
I think they got rid of that weird scale because they used to always throw me off when it would be like SGC 45. You know, like what is that? You know, that's like a 3.5 PSA then or something. And it's
I don't know where that came from. Honestly,
I don't know who was smoking when they did that, but it always threw me off. I have no idea.
Are you getting any questions on yours? On your end?
So as I was looking through, let's see. So Matt Reeder said that they have a graph that goes over your card so they could tell you if it's perfectly centered or not. So I guess if it is up for speculation, I guess they could give you a 9.5 on that. So that's cool.
Like this thing? The Grademaster card centering tool?
You have it?
But at the end of the day, right? So I have it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't use it. But like at the end of the day, it's so subjective. Like
if something's off by the width of a fingernail, you know what I'm saying?
We're talking, look, we're talking millimeters though. Millimeters.
Yeah, like how do you say, okay, well this is like a 9.4 or something, so we'll give it a 9.5 or like, you know, like.
It's so subjective. Jim says, I like Beckett for new cards and PSA for old cards. Does that seem right? I think it's a misconception. I think everyone thinks that you need to go with Beckett for your modern cards and your chromes and all that stuff because that's what a lot of the Beckett guys like to do. I don't think that that's correct per se. I think that it depends what you're trying to accomplish. So if your main goal is resale, I think PSA.
Yeah.
Whether it's vintage or modern.
Oh, sorry.
No. If it's collecting, I think you could go SGC even for vintage because it looks so much better.
Yeah, for sure.
So much better.
Another thing we didn't even touch on was the autograph grading stuff.
Oh yeah, that's right. Auto grade.
So the auto grade for BGS is a huge make or break. If you have a 10, obviously you're good to go. But if you get a 9, nobody wants that now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a definite negative.
It's scary. And there's no like, oh, not 9.5 autograph grade. So people could say, okay, cool, you know, whatever. But it's literally either a 9 or a 10 or an 8. I've seen cards get a BGS 10 and then get a 9 autograph. And that just at that point, I'm converting. There's no questions. I'm just going to convert that card over to PSA.
Now, it's crazy how much of a difference the auto grade makes. And a lot of times it's just basically someone going off card. So the autograph isn't bad. They just went off card. And that'll get a 9. And to me, that doesn't bother me. And then there's people that wipe the autograph, obviously, a little. I heard you could put alcohol or something on it and wipe the autograph off. But it's like, that doesn't bother me enough. Like, I wouldn't even think of doing that. It's just, they went off card. They signed it. The autograph's perfect. To me, that doesn't bother me. What bothers me a little is if they go off the sticker. Because then the autograph's not even on it. Then you don't even have the autograph. You're like missing a bottom loop. So that would bother me. But on-card autos with an 9 auto and it's just because it went off card, that doesn't bother me. Streaky autos, that's different. That's some OCD. But that's why you see a lot of these streaky autos in PSA 10 holders. Because somebody new to the hobby that doesn't know better is going to buy that card thinking that it's a PSA 10, not realizing Beckett grades autos and that it's a 9 auto.
And another thing that people are starting to do now, and they're starting to get tricky with these pop reports on PSA, is they'll get a card that has a beautiful autograph on it, right? And then they'll have a 10 on the card originally, so then they'll get the double 10, and it'll mess with the pop report from what I've noticed, because they'll grade both of them, and you'll have a card that's like a pop 1, even though the card may be numbered to 99, and then you look at the PSA 10 pop report, and there's another 10 of them out there. So you don't really have a pop 1. You just have a pop 1 that also got the autograph grade. So it's super confusing.
And I don't get, the thing I don't get also is somebody will grade their card to get a 10-10. Like, to me, I don't understand why you're doing that. Like, everyone knows it's a 10 auto.
Right.
You know, so I don't see why you would necessarily need to do that. It's just a way to kind of upsell your card.
100%, yeah. And
Like,
I'm not going to, I think I posted mine the other day, but I have a Kessin Hyora like that.
But you bought it like that, right?
I bought it like this.
See, somebody got you. Somebody upsold you.
They upsold me, but I got a really good deal on it, I think. So I don't care. But I'm not going to lie. Like, I do like the autograph grade on it, though. I do like knowing that, like, it is a perfect autograph. But, I mean, like you said,
two eyeballs could tell you
you could tell 99% of the time just by clicking on the card and reviewing it over. Okay,
like,
you know, this autograph went off, or it's streaky, or if it went off the...
Like, does Beckett need to tell me that's a 10 auto? Really?
Yeah.
Like, do you need to tell me? Or does PSA need to tell me? Like, you know.
Yeah. If there's a bump on the card, it's going to automatically be a 9 because that's on the card. The autograph grade is 100% different, but it does make a huge difference. And if you are going to, grade something and you think that the card is perfect, but it unfortunately does have the autograph going off the sticker or whatever, grade it in a PSA. Otherwise, if it's perfect all around, go for...
Look, and I'm not going to knock somebody's hustle. If you know you can get more money, then by all means, go do it. If you know that that's going to bring, somebody's really going to be like, oh, it's a pop 1. Like, no, it's not. That's just the only person that decided to submit it through both services. It's not a pop 1. There's like 50 of those. That's only 10-10. All right. So are there any more questions coming in on your end?
I did get a question. Did we come up with a podcast name yet? Mickey Davis wants to know.
No, not yet, Mickey.
Not yet. We have not come up with one. And then he said he's cracking a BGS 9.5 LeBron Chrome, and he said he'd only be losing a $150 if it nines. So you have to look at like the upside and the downside of that, I guess.
That's not a bad move at all.
I don't think it's a bad move because if it PSA 10s and you're looking at, I don't know what card you're talking about, but if it's his rookie card, then you're talking about a huge difference, right?
What year did he say?
It's recently popped off.
What did he say? 2000.
I don't know what it said. He said he's cracking a BGS 9.5 LeBron Chrome, and he said he'd only be losing 150 if it nines. So I don't know if he's talking about his 2003 Chrome rookie or if he's talking about something else, but I'm going to assume that he's talking about that.
That's a ballsy move, but if the downside's 150.
But hey, listen, if that gets a 10, that's big upside.
Mickey knows what he's doing. Mickey knows. Mickey got the eye. He got the PSA eye.
And he said not honoring the RCR grade is crazy, and I do agree with that. But like you said, you could drop it, or people get sneaky with it. They'll try to open up that thing and doctor it and put another card in there. People are always coming up with
in any industry,
things,
not just the sports card world. Any industry in the world. If there's money to be made, someone will find a way to be unethical and make that money. So
100%.
I do understand why they do it. I do understand it.
Yeah.
Because, again, somebody could, for example, I sent out a Yordan Alvarez in a card saver. First time it ever happened. I've done this a million times, but somebody stomped on the box. The card got creased inside the card saver. So there was no flap thing, though, like the RCR. So if there was a flap thing, who knows how it would have truly been affected. However, if in a rare case that does happen, and say the card does like a quick bend, What if that's not always visible to the eye, So there's no saying you go get that slabbed up, it got jacked up. It's definitely not a 9.5 anymore.
Yeah.
So if any new collector asks about PSA card trimming, do you just tell them the grade Beckett? Is the reputation of a company an issue? I think every single company has their downsides. I think
especially when you're that big, right? So
yeah, I think even Beckett,
every company is always going to have bad reviews and speculations, but all in all, those are undoubtedly the top two most reputable companies out there to be using.
Yeah, I mean, look, the trimming scandal is bad, but PSA didn't trim the cards themselves. They just passed them, And that's another subjective thing. Is it trimmed? Is it factory short? Like, who knows, really? Those Jeters that get factory short and won't get holdered because they could either be trimmed or factory short. Like, who knows? But Beckett also had that black label scandal. So, I mean, and that's another thing. Like I said before, I'm not saying anybody did do anything shady. I'm just saying if somebody was offered a ton of money to move something from a pristine to a black label,
yeah,
I'm just saying maybe.
Well, you think about like the PSA 10, the Mike Trouts, because everybody's familiar with that. It's $1,000 card, but a BGS black label is going up to $15,000, so it's a huge difference.
I'm just saying, I don't know if these guys get paid to grade, but if somebody offered one of them $8,000 per card to bump, just saying.
But like you said, if there's money to be made, someone's going to do it, and unfortunately, sometimes those people are behind the scenes in the cut, so. Everything, we hand our cards off to strangers. We don't know if these guys are like humans, robots, who they are. You know what I'm saying? Obviously. But
Paul just joined. Paul says, I have a Zion Silver I'm debating going BGS or PSA. It's perfect except for being a bit off center. I probably won't get a PSA 10, but it might BGS 9.5. What is PSA most strict on? Corners and centering? Not sure which way I should go.
They're strict on centering, but if I remember reading correctly, they'll grade on the front. They give you 55% to 45% either way leeway on the front. And on the back, it could be, I think, 60-40 up to. You could get a PSA 10, but I think they're most strict on the corners. And the surface is huge, too.
Yeah, I found
Any little
that.
bump or nick, like...
PSA is a little more lenient on centering, I feel.
Yeah.
I feel. So you might want to go PSA on that. I mean, recently I've sent off a ton of stuff to Beckett through my guy that I thought weren't going to gem, and they came back min gems. So I just don't know. I'm lost. I have a great feel for PSA. I'm very confident. When I look at a card, I kind of developed a sense of what's acceptable, what isn't, and you can't even explain it. It's just in your stomach. Like, you're looking at that card and you're like, yeah, let's send it. Where it could go either way, but you've done enough subs that you're like, yeah, this one, I've seen it happen enough, and it comes back a 10. Beckett, I can't really tell you with confidence. I will say, though, those subgrades, man, it's a lot harder to get by on them, because if they're grading each and every aspect and giving a reason why on the card, mentally I'd feel like they have to be more strict.
Yeah.
But I've also seen cards that do not meet the 9.5 grade that I've sent in that came back 9.5 for Beckett. So I'm lost on that. I don't have a real answer. I would say send into PSA, Paul, for that card.
I'd say send it into PSA. If it comes back a 9, crack it and send it right over to BGS and get a 9.5, because the difference between a PSA 10 and a 9.5 on that, I think, is at least a few $100s. So, $10 to grade it each time, or $10 and then $18. You're only out $30. Who cares? And then you'll get to see how much money you could potentially make on that. And
Mike, I could. Mike said, I seen your sub, Steven. You could grade for PSA. I could, probably. I know what they're looking for at this point in time.
You know what's funny, too, is I sometimes sit and I look at my cards and I think to myself, I don't know. Maybe I'd let this pass as a 10, or maybe I'd let this not pass as a 10. I don't really know. It really does, I feel like, depend on how the grader is feeling that day.
You know what messed me up? Chris Gilmore got in my head. So he was like, oh, if you have a 95% gem rate, you're leaving a lot of money on the table, that means. Because you're not sending in a lot of cards that could gem. And he got in my head, and I'm like, oh, maybe he's right. I'm like, oh, I'm trying. I want to keep my pristine rating. Maybe I am being too strict. So now recently I sent out some of my own stuff, and I want to see if he's right or wrong. I'm waiting on that sub to pop. I went with stuff that I normally wouldn't send. That's in the 50-50 range. So we'll see. We shall see. Paul, no problem, bud. Anybody else on your end, Derek, before we sign off?
Michael Pearson asked a little while back. He said, "Did I read your post correctly? We can sell /raz." Oh, can't say that word, but any sports items and cards on your page, not just stuff from your breaks.
Yes, correct. We have opened up the buy sell trade group to anyone who would like to use it. All we ask is that you kindly do not ATM the room. If you choose to participate, or if you choose to sell your cards, please participate and return the favor to others that get in yours.
Right.
That's all we
Common
ask.
courtesies.
Vincent said you guys should do a whole podcast on grading what determines if a card should grade and how you know what cards will or should grade out for us new guys. I mean, it's so impossible. Like PSA puts out a guideline on what they use.
Right.
If you went with that guideline and submitted your cards, you would never get the grade that guideline said you should get for that card.
You'd never think, you'd think too hard. You sit there and you look at your own grade. That's why I like to send my cards off to someone else to look at, because sometimes I'll look at my cards and I'll really start thinking about it, think too much about it. Sometimes you just need someone else to look over your cards.
It comes with experience. That's what I'm going to say. I've been submitting cards for only like a couple years now, and I must have looked over hundreds and thousands of cards in order to get to the point where I'm comfortable now, where I can look at a card and within like 3 seconds, my brain, I don't even know how it works. It's just like centering corners, edges, and you're all of a sudden you're looking at everything real fast and you're like, boom, and something will stick out to you and be like, nope, that wouldn't, but it's like, I used to sit there for like 5 minutes and like examine it, move it.
Man.
Are the corners good? But now it's to the point where boom, 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 like you're able to see it. So I would just say start just looking over as many cards as you can. Submit a batch yourself, and write down what you think the cards will grade. Even if you don't think it's a gem, if you think it's like an 8, write down what you think the card would get, so now you know what an 8 is.
Right.
That's what I did. That's how I got started, and it took a lot of work.
It takes a lot of work, but because I've been subbing with PSA since 2013. I've had a membership almost every year, and over the years, I could even see with my 15 free subs or my 10 free subs, whichever one I choose, or 6 rather. Over the years, the first one, man, that was brutal. That was like, I had some Barry Larkins, I had some Barry Bonds, I had all those dudes, and I was like, oh man, I'm gonna get these graded. I'm gonna turn around and sell these for so much money on eBay. And I got like 6s, 7s, 8s, and I was like, oof. I got maybe like 110. And then after the years, I was like, all right, I really need to like pay attention, because you're just gonna burn your money. That's just burning money. You know what I'm saying? Especially for cards that are.
That stuff is tough to grade out. The junk era stuff.
The junk era stuff. That's why I like kicking myself now, but that 1989 Donruss Ken Griffey, I have, I think, 150 of those, and I wouldn't send one of them.
No,
because of the centering.
So maybe about 6 months ago, somebody called me up. They're like, I have a collection of cards. So I went and checked it out. It was all wax from the 80s, junk wax. But it was like $200-300. I was like, I'm bored. Let's just open up some packs, right? So when I tell you I opened up so many boxes of 89 and 90, I opened up 89 Donruss and 90 tops. Now I was like, I'm going to get these damn Griffies. I'm going to get the 90 tops gemmed, and I'm going to get the 89 Donruss. And then I started getting greedy. I'm like, let's do the Kurt Schilling. That's a $20 card, PSA 10. Let's do the Randy Johnson. When I tell you I had like 50 of each card, and I subbed the best 5, and I was getting back 8s.
Yeah,
it
man,
is
it's
impossible.
The one card that I did get graded though, and I was so happy about, was the 1986 Topps Traded Barry Bonds. And I had a Bo Jackson, but I bent that by accident. I wanted to kill myself. It was so nice too. But you know, fast forward, I should have held on to that Barry Bonds. I think I sold it for $60 at the time. I don't know what they go for now. I don't even want to look it up, but
Brutal.
Probably more than
everybody has their story.
$60.
All right, guys, we are over our time right now. I have to go live right now for Triple Threads. Thank you so much for tuning in on our new podcast that has no name still. I mean, this might be like a
we'll just
thing.
call it No Name Podcast.
Yeah, we gotta maybe it's just unnamed would be the name of the podcast. That's pretty cool. We'll figure it out, but I kind of like not having a name. All right, thanks so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. If you want to watch some breaks, stick around. We will be going live for 2 back-to-back breaks right after this. And on behalf of myself, Stephen Michael, Derek, and FIlthbomb Breaks, want to thank you for giving us the opportunity and allowing us to podcast live for you tonight. And until the next podcast, till the next break, till the next case box or pack, we are signing off saying, sayonara, bro, Tani's. Catch you on the flip side. Make it a filthy one.
Hey, this is World Series champion Johnny Damon.
This is World Series champion.
This is Kevin Newman of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
This is a World Series champion, again. This is Carlos Pena, 14-year MLB veteran.
This is two-time NL MVP Dale Murphy of the Atlanta Braves.
This is John Plante, pitcher of the Arizona Diamondbacks.
This is World Series champion Joe Musgrove.
This is Jordan Luplow of the Cleveland Indians.
This is Lance Coast Jim from Houston Astros.
What's up, it's A. Jones of the Buffalo Bills.
It's Tyler Lockett of the Seattle Seahawks.
This is Hunter Henry of the LA Chargers.
This is Jose Canseco.
And when I'm not on the field catching bombs from Russell Wilson.
When I'm not on the field catching bombs.
When I'm not on the field catching bombs.
When I'm not on the field hitting bombs.
I'm watching my guys over at FIlthbomb.
FIlthbomb. FIlthbomb.
FIlthbomb. FIlthbomb.
FIlthbomb.
FIlthbomb.
FIlthbomb breaks.
Off those nasty.
Nasty FIlthbomb. I know a thing or two about hitting some bombs, fellas.
But there's nothing quite like hitting a filth bomb with
My guys over at FIlthbomb Breaks.
FIlthbomb! FIlthbomb! Mike Trout 101 auto!
MVP breakers, MVP price.
Keep those Phil bombs coming, and I'll keep those World Series coming.
Thanks for making baseball cards fun again.
Thanks for making baseball cards fun again, guys. Go Bucks.
Thanks for making collecting cards fun again for the kids and for all of us old-timers as well.
A way to make baseball cards fun again, guys. Keep pulling those nasty filth bombs.
and pull me a Jose Canseco Superfractor.
You can hit me a West Coast Superfractor. Go Astros.
Please pull me a Plante Superfractor.
How about you go pull me a Jordan Luplow Superfractor?
Doing it, you know what I'm saying? You gotta hop on the Triple Threads. Yeah, no doubt.